Good morning, afternoon, or evening. Welcome to All Things Social Security. I am Stephanie Joy, the attorney at Joy Disability. Welcome to the channel, and I hope you enjoy the video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Good morning, afternoon, or evening. This is Stephanie Joy with All Things Social Security and the founding lawyer of Joy Disability. I wanted to go over today, just because it's not going to come up any other way if I don't, some of the legislation that's going on right now with regard to Social Security and or SSI in particular. As you may know, and just to make it clear from the get-go, SSI is Supplemental Security Income. It is not Social Security at all. However, the Social Security Administration administers the SSI program. And this is largely because for those under 65, SSI, which is the welfare program, requires that you be disabled and poor to get the benefits. So the Social Security disability other component is for those who worked and paid in, and that's an insurance that they actually bought. SSI is a welfare program, SSDI is not. Okay, so this particular first bill I want to talk about, because it might be getting some traction. These bills have been going on forever, this particular one. Longer than I've been practicing, and I'm in my third decade doing this particular stuff. So if it gets any traction, that's always a good thing. And I don't agree with all the things they try to do with SSI. Sometimes I think some of what they're doing has some untoward effects that some people don't want to take into consideration. But this one I happen to like. It's the HR 2540. It's the SSI Savings Penalty Elimination Act. So they call it a penalty, but what it means is one of the threshold amounts to be poor is not having an immense amount of countable resources. Makes sense, right? If you have all these resources, go sell them and support yourself. Don't ask your taxpayer fellow man to do it, right? That is logical, and I agree with that whole premise of having a cap. Because if you're not poor, why should I be paying for your upkeep when you could pay for it yourself? However, the resource limit, I don't know if it's been 40 years or more, is $2,000. Now, 40 years ago, that might have been just fine. But we are decades and decades later. And we know inflation-wise alone, even if you think the inflation rates that we have are not truly reflective of the cost of living, that alone should have changed it. I don't know why it has never been under a COLA, cost of living adjustment scenario, like most everything else is. Even the SSI benefit amount gets moved according to COLA, which is why it increases nearly every year, just as Social Security, disability, and retirement benefits do. But this one, for some reason, they didn't put a COLA in there. And that part was despicable to me. I'm a math person, always have been. And it doesn't make sense that you would say, oh, yes, we believe they need to have at least $2,000 back in the 80s, and then not also say, yeah, and of course, in 10 years, that 2000 is going to be worth something far less. In 20 years, even less. In 30 years, you know. So in any event, the bill here is trying to get the $2,000 raised to 20,000. I'm sorry, 10,000. And I think that's a good amount. It might be a little bit more than what inflation would have given it, but our inflationary numbers, I mean, I screech about them whenever we have our COLAs applied to Social Security benefits, because the indexed amounts of the inflationary rate, the things that they go by, don't really, in my opinion, reflect a lot of the costs associated, maybe the cost of rentals and stuff like that, that seem to go up much higher than that general basket of goods. So I'm totally fine with it being higher than what the inflationary applicable amount would have been. And I'm not sure what that is, but I'm pretty sure it's less than 10,000. So 10,000 to me sounds good. It gives someone a little bit of cushion if they have to go do something important in life. And I'm not talking about taking a world voyage and, I'm talking about, a nice little savings cushion. Whether they abuse it or not, I can't say. But, if someone can save it, why shouldn't they be able to? Because that is not an amount such that, John Doe next door is still paying to keep you supported while you're able to save money that he can't even save because He's working and paying bills and taxes. So I think $10,000 is not an unfair amount. I don't think it's too high. And what's interesting here is they want the married couple amount to go to 20,000. And I would say that certainly wouldn't be a deal breaker for me. I don't think that's too much. But so I'm kind of okay with the 20,000 because there is two people. So yeah, why not? That'll give them a little bit more flexibility, I think. So at this point, I'm not against the 20,000. I'm totally for the 10,000. And then they also say there should be an indexing of those limits to inflation moving forward. And that I totally agree with too. So far, it apparently has some steady legislative momentum. I believe people on both sides of the fence are supportive. I'm not sure why these things get stalled. They've gotten stalled in every Congress so far. It didn't matter who was in charge of that Congress. It didn't seem to matter who was in charge of a White House. It just didn't matter. So I don't know that it is an incredibly partisan problem. There just seems to be, I don't know what it is, something that has resisted it all this time. So there's a bunch of co-sponsors, I suppose, it looks like. And even as recently as June, just a couple weeks ago, additional ones signed on as sponsors. So that's always good. I don't know who, I guess there's 35 co-sponsors, at least as of this writing. Anyway, I do hope that comes to be. I think SSI folks need to have a little bit more of a cushion. And it's just so blatantly, objectively clear because $2,000 in the 80s is not $2,000 today. And so there's been, I think it's like a blatant almost abuse. And I say that not lightly because, I'm of the mindset that when you're giving welfare, you need to be tight about it and be careful and watch out for fraud and everything else. But, everyone who's getting it is ostensibly deserving, of course, in terms of meeting the thresholds. So I'd like to see the resource move up in accordance with inflation or a little bit more, like I said, because I don't think inflation numbers really cover our true cost of living. So there were people that were pushing for it to go much higher. I think there are some woohoo wackadoos saying there should be no resource limit. So if you have $500,000 in the bank, you should still have SSI where your neighbor who makes 40,000 a year is paying for your food and your shelter and everything else. That's not flying with me. But this bill, this would fly with me, I think. I think it will be good. So let's see where that goes. And yeah, let's see where it goes. The the taxpayers may or may not like it. Middle and lower income workers, it is hard because taxes will go up because SSI is paid out of the general fund, not the Social Security fund. So yeah, it might mean the taxes have to go up. But and I don't like that either. But I'm just saying in terms of what should have been going on all along, and maybe with all the fraud they're trying to prevent now, finally, without putting a blind eye to it, that might cover some of these expenses. So hopefully we will see. I wonder if we could squeeze in the next one. I don't know. I don't think so. I'll get too long-winded. Anyway, interested in your thoughts on that. I assume everyone on SSI is going to be in favor of this, or anyone who cares about someone on SSI is going to be in favor of this. And I wouldn't be surprised if people across the board, regardless of the fact that it will require more tax monies, they will probably be in favor of it too, I think. There might be some naysayers, and I'm talking about regular folks, not the politicians. They've got their other reasonings that we don't have to get into. But anyway, guys, that's a really interesting one, and hopefully that will get some momentum if this Congress could ever work together. But that's always a little difficult too. All right, I will talk to you guys later. Have a great day. And if you have a spare moment, Wednesdays, 1 p.m. Eastern Time, our live stream Q&A. Any questions you have as a claimant, a beneficiary, or a loved one of one, or someone looking towards retirement and you have questions, feel free to pop in, post your question, and I'll answer it for you live. I may or may not have a guest with me also answering questions. So would love to see you. And we have our 12 p.m. Pre-recordeds there that we would appreciate you visiting as well, getting some information And it also supports the channel in a major way, which supports our 1% and 5% claimants. All right. Thanks so much, guys. I will talk to you later. Bye-bye.